If you have a mispronunciation, you find it difficult to understand other people because mispronunciations make you believe that words you know are new words because they are being pronounced in a different way from the ways that you are used to. When you have mispronunciations, you will have problem understanding people. As a result, you have problems understanding the recordings in IELTS listening, and as a result, you cannot get the answers and you will get a lower score. So if you notice, sometimes you don't really need to understand every single word, but that is in a real life conversation because you can look at their body language, you can look at their gestures, their hand gestures, their face emotions and things like that to guess the meaning of what they are talking about. However, when you listen to the recordings in IELTS, you don't get to see anything. You don't get to see the body language, you don't get to see hand gestures or facial expressions. So you have to rely on your understanding of the words in order to understand what the person is saying. Having said that, I am not saying that you would definitely not understand anything or any word if you are mispronouncing the word. Sometimes our brain registers the correct pronunciation of the word as an alternative pronunciation of the word. For example, I pronounce the word develop as develop, but I have met so many people, including my husband, pronouncing the word develop as develop. It is not a correct pronunciation. It should be develop. The two pronunciations are kind of similar to each other. That's why our brain accepts the two pronunciations as the two pronunciations of the word, even though there is just one correct pronunciation. So if I were talking about a real life conversation, it wouldn't be a problem because in real life conversations, you can have mispronunciations here and there, so people still understand you. As long as people still understand you, that is gonna be okay. But in IELTS, especially in IELTS speaking, you still get a reduction in your score because it is a mispronunciation. The more mispronunciations you have, the lower score you're gonna get. So you need to pay attention to your pronunciation because if you have mispronunciations, you're gonna get a lower score. But some people might be arguing that there are different reasons behind not understanding anything being said in the recordings. One of the reasons is accent. Now, I agree that in IELTS listening, you get to hear a lot of different accents. You have British accent, American accent, Australian accent, or even sometimes you get Indian accents and things like that. However, the majority of the accents in IELTS listening are very common accents. That's the first thing. And the speakers try to speak very clearly so you wouldn't have any problem understanding their accents. And now if you still have problem understanding the accents in IELTS listening, maybe it is time for you to reevaluate your understanding of different accents because at the end of the day, we are learning English as a second language. We need to understand different kinds of accents. We need to know what different kinds of accents sound like. Now, another reason behind not understanding anything in IELTS listening, probably also because of mispronunciation. Because when the other person mispronounces a word, we may not understand it either. However, the idea of having an English exam is to understand a word when it is pronounced correctly. So there is no chance, and it's almost impossible to have mispronunciations in the recording. So don't worry that the speakers in the recordings purposely mispronounce words because it is not the objective of an exam, of an English exam. Okay, so now it all boils down into your own mistake and your own mispronunciations where you mispronounce words. So you mispronounce words. That's why you do not understand what the speakers are talking about. And again, don't forget that pronunciation is 25% of your speaking score. If you have mispronunciations, you will get a lower score. The more mispronunciations you have, the lower score you're gonna get.